Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. Happy Friday. In today's video, we'll be talking about the latest updates with Bitcoin. We'll also be covering updates with Bitcoin treasury companies like Strategy, along with ETH treasury companies with Bit Digital, GameSquare. We'll also be covering the miners as well, like Riot, CleanSpark, along with me sharing with you the very first company out there that is buying up Dogecoin as a treasury company. No other company has done this. And will the price start shooting up if Dogecoin shoots up? We'll go through all of those details. So stay until the end where I will be going through deep dive price predictions using technical analysis for all of these plays. Now, if you're new to this channel, first off, thanks that you're here. I would appreciate hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's begin, guys. Let's first off start off with a post from Sensei. He's saying 220,000 next Bitcoin target. So he has the RSI drawn out. We're expecting to have the Bitcoin RSI to reach 90 RSI, where that would be the overbought situation. We've seen that in the last bull cycle, 2021. The cycle before that, Bitcoin also had an RSI of 90. So that puts us at around 220,000 if we're just scaling out the trend line with the two prior events. And it's looking like we're going to get to the 220,000, area. So only time will tell. CoinVo posts the Bitcoin top is nowhere near in yet. Just look at this lovely, beautiful visual where we see Bitcoin at current price hovering at 118,000, but it's below this hemisphere where, with every halving event, we see Bitcoin just forming these big peaks and we're not even there yet. So, we're expected to have a nice run up with relative strength, also expected to rise up with the price of Bitcoin. Crypto Elites posts is buy the fear completely, target 180,000. So he has a little different angle where he's forecasting that we're going to hit somewhere around that sweet spot of 180,000. But just look at every consolidation period, we see a pull flag drawn out, and it's only a matter of time since we're going to get to the 180,000 to the upside. Strategy today posts MSTR share price has compounded at over 2x per year since adopting a Bitcoin strategy. So just look at the overall, returns strategy, 3,500%. Whereas Bitcoin, not even to that level, 901%. However, Bitcoin's been dominating. I mean, it's the top asset class when you compare it to like QQQ, the S&P index, other, assets. But overall, you see MSTR is the king. Yes, today we saw a slight pullback, but that was attributed to, Bitcoin also pulling back. We'll go through the technical details, but it's going to be, very solid news once we have strategy provide updates in the next coming weeks. July 31st, Q2 earnings report. Sailor's going to announce that unrealized gains, $15 billion of unrealized gains. That's just big time numbers with over 600,000 Bitcoins on their treasury now, owning up to like 3% of the Bitcoin reserve. But that doesn't stop Sailor now. He will continue to buy Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin 100 from HODL 15's updates. Strategy obviously has the highest amount of Bitcoin. We have Mara with, over 50,000 Bitcoins. You also have like 21 Riot Platforms, getting to that marker of like 20,000. Also, Meta Planet is climbing the ranks now. They're in the top five. Now you have CleanSpark at, rank number seven. They're just a pure miner, just mining all these Bitcoins because like what they're saying is why buy Bitcoin when you can mine it for much cheaper costs. So that's the upside with CleanSpark as well. Now taking a look at El Capital, he posts Riot target of $41, potential bearish, bat pattern formating with $41 target. So just think about that. He has this drawn out up through 2025 with the expectation of the target to be around $41, following this, Elliott wave pattern. Chris posts is crafting a new 2027 leap option thesis here for CleanSpark. This is a very good idea, having a leaps out that far. The 50-day moving average in blue is about to cross above the 200-day moving average in red, known as Golden Cross. ETH completed this weeks ago, and the rest was history. CleanSpark also ready to break out of this triangle. So you got that, that 50-day soon to be crossing the 200 days based on the current price action. What does that mean? Red's going to start moving up, and we're just going to see price send it to new levels. I really do believe that it will hit somewhere around this range. I'm forecasting somewhere around that potential upside of $38. I posted yesterday in the community for SBET BTBT ETH Treasury, just that today it's happening. And 2 days ago, I posted smart money moving profits from SBET to BTBT. Obviously, 2 days ago, that was when like SBET was up like 10 consecutive days, up to like $40. Long term, it can go even way higher than that. But from a short term perspective, the relative strength has gone up so high where, now smart money, they're in fact moving profits. They're taking profits. Today, we saw what had happened. I was making that forecast already. When things go up that high, it can't continue to go up. It's just gonna, the RSI, the technicals will kick in. Relative strength needs to stabilize. What's happening? Well, obviously today, 20% pullback. All those profits are going into different areas. And I think BTBT with what they're doing because the stocks are so cheap right now, it's undervalued. That could be the next run up ETH play. Trader Joe's he posts about game is the best of the bunch, not only in value with this current price and market valuation versus some of its peers, but also in engineered yielding, the best in the industry and strategy revolving around digital assets and their over $100 million revenue generating businesses scaling for intense growth. So, obviously GameSquare is another company out there that is using the Ethereum Treasury strategy, buying up Ethereum, and a lot of investors like this idea, and they have this 70 million public offering completed, to aggressively buy up more and more ETH before it gets more expensive. So I really do see the potential upside in game, and I actually bought some shares of game yesterday on that 30% pullback. Here's an interesting play I want to share with you. So Cointelegraph posted yesterday Bit Origin, ticker BTOG, to raise up to $500 million to buy Dogecoin, making it the first US listed company to adopt Doge as a core treasury asset. We're beginning to see Dogecoin really take off. I mean, during that support, it was at 12 cents. It's already, climbed up to like 23 cents. And just yesterday, we've been seeing a lot of volume movement, and BTOG ran up 100%. I actually, bought in at 55 cents. I actually bought more today at like 80 cents. I believe that, let's say Dogecoin breaks through $1, $2, BTOG could go like very high. I mean, I think BTOG will have more volatility in that there's more upside similar to like strategy and, Bitcoin movements. But we'll go through more of the technicals since I have this all mapped out. Let's take a look at technicals of Bitcoin. So right now on the daily, Bitcoin took a slight pullback. However, we're trending up right now, at 118,000. That's definitely a win. I mean, we were, treading around that 100,000, recently climbed up slowly. RSI isn't, too high. It's stabilizing. This is the prime recipe for stair step up. And the fact that we're hovering above the Ichimoku cloud, that's what we want to see. We're expecting the bull market to continue through Q4. Who knows? It may continue through Q1 of 2026, but with the expectation of Bitcoin to run up to 200,000 by end of the year. Technicals are looking very favorable right now, with the relative strength not going super high. price action hovering above the Ichimoku cloud. What more can you ask for right now? Let's take a look at strategy. So with Bitcoin at current price, close to 120,000, MSTR, most of you are wondering what happened today. Well, it went down slightly because we've been, performing quite well. I mean, MSTR was in like the $300. It got back into the $400. I mean, that was like the highest all-time high for the year 2025, even though 2024 we broke through 550, but it's only a matter of time. Again, remember the fundamentals are there. Comparing where we are this year compared to last year, there's a lot more hodl. What does that mean? That means that, strategy is up for the next potential squeeze. And I'm forecasting that we're going to get to that $1,000 range by end of year. So mark that. Who knows? We may shoot up even more. But looking at the weekly MACD, we see green histograms. Relative strength is, fairly stable right now. That's a good thing. But can you imagine once the RSI kicks in the gears, gets to 85, 90, it's coming. I mean, it's been over like 8 months since we have had a big RSI run up, and it's only a matter of time. It's going to come all driven from Bitcoin price to go up. Let's take a look at Riot Platforms. So Riot today performed very well. I mean, on the week, they've gained about 11%. That's a good thing, even though Bitcoin pulled back. There was some, there was no correlation to the movement of Bitcoin today. Yes, there was, but Riot actually ended the market like close to 4% gain. And look at this. They just broke out of this flag. I mean, this long-term flag starting in, July of 2023. And basically, the price has been just consolidating into this long-term channel for so many years now. I mean, who wants to be in this situation, right? But because we just broke out of this flag, there's so much potential. I know there's a lot of people buying like call options right now, heavy loaded on Riot because they believe that, this stock can be an easy 20 banger. Who knows? We hear a lot about it going to $40. It can go to 100 plus like Crypto Calio saying, who knows, the sky's the limit. We've seen what happened in the last bull cycle. We've seen, altcoins run up that high, and it may very well follow the altcoin type of performance. But this is, in favor for the longs who are holding Riot, bag holding this. Just that long-term continuation of it hovering down. Now that it's breaking out, this is looking very solid and favorable for Riot Platforms investors. Let's take a look at CleanSpark. So CleanSpark today, it had a slight pullback. However, throughout the entire week, it's been doing well. And, over the course of time, I mean, it's this month, I mean, just the last month, it's gone up by about 50%. And, current price at 12.57. I mean, getting back into double digits from that low point of like $6. I really see the upside with CleanSpark. The relative strength is looking very healthy. MACD is looking also healthy. We're seeing that bullish divergence pattern. The line is showing as if, it's trending up. And I think in the coming days, weeks, even July, August, we're going to have CleanSpark hit that $22, but I really do see the upside 2025. I have that sweet spot somewhere around that sub $40. It's going to be like around that $38. $40 is that psychological barrier, but it's all dependent on the type of momentum we see in the volume when it gets around that range to assess. But right now, this is where my use case is. Let's take a look at BTBT technical analysis. So again, we know this is an ETH Treasury company. They pivoted from hodling Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin to now just full throttle, be an ETH Treasury company. Look at the RSI back in 2023 when it was oversold. What had happened? It had that big, strong gap up. Are we at the, moment where we're going to see a similar situation just purely on the technicals where we may see the price shoot up to new discovery levels just with the exciting news with Ethereum as well? It's very possible. Be on the lookout. I really do think BTBT hits, in the near term in the next like, several weeks, $7 before we gap up to the $10 potential with BTBT. Let's take a look at GameSquare, ticker GAME. So look at the RSI back in July 9th. I mean, this thing popped all the way up to like 90 RSI. Yes, we're seeing, lots of price movement similar to like, CEP, XXI, Cantor Fitzgerald with Jack Mallers' company. I mean, it was running up for quite some time. And I think it's a similar situation right now with GameSquare. I mean, yes, yesterday it had a pullback of like, 30%. Today also had a pullback as well. That's expected. RSI is stabilizing. However, I do think this is a great opportunity to buy or dollar cost average. I mean, I saw the dip yesterday. I had to sprinkle some in, and I think there's upside to this. I mean, there can be lots of upside where it just shoots up just based on the momentum where the money's flowing. I think GameSquare has potential just looking at the technicals and the fundamentals. Let's take a look at BTOG. So we heard about, BitOrigin. This is a Singapore company, where they're focused on holding on to Dogecoin as a treasury. So $500 million, that's a lot. It's the very first company that's doing that. We're seeing what is happening with Doge right now. The volume's ticking up, and Doge has been established for many years now. The branding's there. People like Doge. Most people know about Dogecoin. And let's say Dogecoin breaks out to $1 or $2. Think about BTOG. I mean, it'll shoot up even further, but I really do see the upside of it breaking through like, $2 to $5 on the near term. I mean, just say, like 3 months from now, how high can it go? I mean, the sky's the limit with this. Anything is possible just with all the news and the amount you're paying for one share right now. People see this price, they'll get excited, especially knowing that it's an actual stock. So be on the lookout. This thing could run significantly. I actually bought some yesterday. I added more, load today because I believe in Doge having a nice run up, and that will benefit BTOG because they are a treasury company for Dogecoin. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video where I talked about Bitcoin, MSTR, we talked about Bitcoin miners, Riot, CleanSpark. We also talked about ETH companies like Bit Digital, GAME, GameSquare. We also covered BTOG as well, BitOrigin, holding on to Dogecoin. There's so much going on right now. Follow the money. That's, where we're headed. Let's gain on positive proceeds, lead with an altruistic mindset. That's the whole motto of the branding of this channel. And if you like what you're seeing with this content, then go ahead and hit a like, subscribe for more related content. Thanks, guys, for watching. Take care.